Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, and we're going to talk about the U.S. Grand Prix, the F1 race in Austin this weekend. Joining me to talk about it, Tina Orozco and Nash Lowry, who was running some circles around the track, right?
Yes, I was. I made my way out to COTA for the day. After going there earlier in the summer, seeing the whole entire sites and stealing a cone as well that says COTA that's currently in my room. I was like, okay, we just have to make that happen. And an absolute life memory of a dream. I was there both Saturday and Sunday. I couldn't be there Friday for events that happen because, high school football is happening. But I did make my way out there for Saturday and Sunday. And man, was it a blast?
Yeah, absolutely. And then so just looking at everything you saw, just the whole atmosphere of U.S. Grand Prix in Austin, it's going to be sticking around as well.
Yes, exactly. They just re-signed their deal in 2012. They signed a 10-year deal with F1 to keep it there for the next 10 years, plus a 2-year extension. That's how we're in the year 2025, and it's out there. So 2 days ago, they did sign the contract to extend it until 2030. So that gives a little bit more time for them to be in Austin. And unofficially, I believe, is the stats that we're going with. This was the largest attended F1 event in history. So COTA showed up on a contract year. That's the term that I want to think about, a contract year for them.
Over 430,000 fans attended, I think, this race, or on average, it's usually 400 within the last decade.
Yeah. And it was a really, really good environment because Garth Brooks was there. That garnered a lot of attention. Last year was Eminem, which Eminem had just come out with the abracadabra or whatever it is.
Guess who's back?
Yeah, right. So, but this time it was Garth Brooks, and then of course you have the potential comeback that Max Verstappen is on. So it was really a lot of good storylines surrounding it.
Yeah, it was
a sprint race.
Yes, you're right, and it was an incredible race all around. But Max Verstappen gets the win in really dominant fashion. Tina, what did you see from him in this race?
I mean, it's so surprising. I'm a huge Max fan, and I'm so confident in his abilities. But before summer break, I would never have guessed he's actually in the contention for the WDC. Now he's only 40 points behind.
Expectation to start it out, and now that he starts out normal here, it seems odd. But he's hitting it hard in the last parts of the season, and especially here at COTA. I mean, once we got past the first lap, or once I saw him get that first lap, and we said, damn, that gap is big. And then from there, it just stretched and stretched and stretched. There was some time where Norris was behind him for about 10 seconds, and then Leclerc was behind him about 6.8 seconds behind him. And it wasn't really close. It was really a battle of, is Norris going to overtake Leclerc? And he did twice in that race. And that's really something I wanted to talk to you about, Tina. We've seen that a lot, the battle between Norris and Leclerc. And Leclerc was the first one to pit in this race and still gave up his gap twice to Norris.
I think Charles put on a great performance. He was ahead of Lando and fought for him for 40 laps. He had started on softs where everyone else was starting on mediums, which I think was key in their tire strategy, and he was the timing for their pit stop was phenomenal, along with Lewis, who came in fourth. I think with both of them, the pit strategy worked out because Charles was on softs. And I think a big contender and why Max won is because Charles fought off Lando for so long. He held him away from Max. He didn't have to worry about fighting him. He just had to worry about going straight.
Yeah, exactly. And going straight was what most of this happens. I was situated on turn 9. That was my vantage point for the duration of this time. The Garth Brooks concert, the sprint race, the qualifying, and of course the race. I was all on turn 9. And turn 9 has that big straightaway in the hairpin turn. So I didn't really get to see so much switching action or overtaking. That's in the technically later parts of the race, closer to turn 16, 17. But a lot of action happened over there, and that's where Norris overtook Leclerc twice.
Near the end of the race. I think speaking of McLaren, I guess we're going to have to see what their strategy looks like for the rest of these 5 races until the end of the season. Andrea Stella, who is the team principal, has stated he wants them to remain equal, both Oscar and Lando, in terms of fairness. But I think we've seen so far for this season that it has not been fair for them. They've obviously favored Lando, and I think they're going to continue doing that regardless of what Andreas says. He says their decision-making on the drivers from now on will be made mathematically, and until that point where they see a clear winner, then they'll switch into a prioritized driver. But I still think there's going to be favoritism with Lando.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. As you guys mentioned, second and third place went to Lando Norris, Team McLaren, and then Charles Leclerc from Team Ferrari. And it was, like you said, I think this was kind of the most exciting part of the race, just them two battling it out throughout. And then looking at the standings as a whole, Oscar Piastri, not really as much of a factor in this race, but 7 wins, he's still in front, 5 poles as well. Lando Norris and then Max Verstappen right behind. How do you think this race kind of plays out between Verstappen and Team McLaren?
I think that Verstappen, with the run that he's on now, like you stated, Stephen, 3 out of the last 4 races that he has won, and the poles that he, continues to get. I think Coda's next level for him because he's won it so many times and has performed so great on that track. So he really, like every track, he knows it like the back of his hand. But this one, it feels like it was a little bit more. So if he can continue this performance into the next races, which I think he can, he's in an echo chamber right now of Red Bull and everybody in the world really saying, come on, Max, you can do it. You can do it. You're on the verge of history. And chasing history is what Max's entire goal was in 2023 and what it is now. So he has that gear to be able to turn into it, and I think he's on that gear right now.
Yep.
How are you expecting that to go down the stretch between McLaren and then, I think Max, we talked about it, he's on a run and he has the momentum for the first time. Like you said, it's been a slow start to this season, but we've seen what he's capable of in the past. Do you think he catches up this time?
I mean, like you said, we can't doubt his abilities with Mexico coming up. He's historically had a pretty good run there. I think he won 2 years ago. Carlos Sainz won last year with the help of Checo Perez, his previous Red Bull teammate. So if he were to again win this year in Mexico, that's a huge advantage. He'd only be, 15, 16 points behind Oscar. Then at that point, it's just a race between that until he gets the lead ahead of Oscar and Lando.
Yep, definitely. And then as you guys mentioned earlier, F1 announced an 8-year contract extension of the Circuit of the Americas in Austin through the 2034 racing season. So going to be exciting for racing in Austin. And Tina, how much do you think that means to have the Grand Prix right here in Texas, and then just for the future of racing? I
mean, that's a huge accolade for the state of Texas, especially with the growing fans of American F1 fans. It's had an 11% year-on increase, a lot of tourism. It's just great for the city of Austin and the state of Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be exciting to see how this season continues to sort itself out. There's a lot going on throughout all the world of sports, and we'll be back next week to talk about all of it.
I just got one more thing. Did you know that Charles Leclerc waved at me personally?
Did he?
He was going by. He was going by on turn 9. I did get it on video, so they were going by, and he waved.
You're gonna have to send me that video.
Yeah. To be fair, there were maybe 2,000 people sitting in turn 9, but.
He waved specifically at you.
It was at Nash.
That's the right way to think about it. Yeah.
It was at Nash. It was right at Nash. And guys, I'm gonna wave goodbye right at you as I'll outro you guys one more time. Thank you all for watching Sports Zone. Make sure to follow our socials at NTTV Sports and catch us next week and this Thursday for this Thursday's version of Sports Zone. We'll see you all next week right here, and we're gonna break it all down as usual, especially with the World Series coming up next week. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time on Sports Zone.